Hi everyone, this is Wekesa Madzimoyo, and I'm here with you with another video on storytelling. One of the powerful ways you can touch people during this class as you interview others and as you work to build your business. I'm going to be highlighting some things from a book called The Story Factor by Annette Simmons. Let's get started. Trust me. People are inundated with information, and so they want faith. They want faith in you, your goals, your success, and in the stories that you tell. Often we try to convince people to trust us. If we're in business, we need to convince people to trust us, to try our service, try our products, to trust us. Often we do that by telling them. What we can do here is actually tell stories, telling a meaningful story, okay, that inspires belief in you and renews hope that your ideas indeed will offer what you promise. Okay, now it's really important if we're talking about building trust for us to know how to use stories to build trust. And here's how some of that works. I'm going down to about the middle of the page. People, if they get to decide for themselves, then they're much more likely to be convinced because they decided for themselves. And so, does somebody do that when they don't know you? Well, if you tell a story, they join with you in the story, and in doing so, begin to come to the conclusion that, for example, that they can trust you if in fact the story is about that, and if they can identify with the character in the story, if they can identify with the quest in the story or the challenge. If your story is authentic, then they begin to decide that they can trust you, not because you told them to or because you listed a lot of facts. One of the things that Simmons in the book The Story Factor suggests, and I agree with totally, is that in business we need at least 6 stories. We need a who I am story, we need a why I'm here story, a vision story, teaching stories, values and action stories, and I know what you're thinking stories. From the bottom, I know what you're thinking stories are stories designed to address objections that you know people will have. Values and action stories are just that. They instead of saying our company values XYZ, here's a story to show that how we value whatever we value. Teaching stories are designed to help teach people something, but do it in a story fashion. The 3 that we're going to focus mostly on, and actually we're going to focus on 1 and 2 in this little short 10-minute segment, is the who I am story and the why I'm here story. There also is the vision story, the vision of the company, your vision of your company, building your company, or vision for your company. But the who I am and why I'm here stories are really important for this course. A story is worth 1,000 assurances. 1,000 assurances. I can say, trust me. I can say I'm trustworthy. I can say I'm honest. I can say I'm the best. If I give a story to show that I'm the best, if I give a story to show that I'm trustworthy, that I'm dependable, then in fact, it's worth more than 1,000 times you're repeating that over and over and over. Okay? Again, people want to decide things for themselves, and while they may not be able to spend a lot of time with you, the story simulates an experience of your trustworthiness. That is, they enter the story almost magically, and through the story experience something of you. The story is a pull strategy, not a push strategy. So it's important for you to have a good sense of what's your story. Before people allow you to influence them, they want to know 2 things: who you are and why you're here. And if you don't take the time to give them a positive answer to that question, note here, they make up their own answers, and they're usually negative answers. Okay? People subconsciously assume that your gain will be their loss. Although the author says it's human nature, I disagree with that. It is what we've come to expect in this culture. At the same time, you're still faced with it, that people assuming that your gain will mean their loss. What's needed is a story that demonstrates you're the kind of person that they can trust. And later on, when we get to the why are you here story, you'll see how to also address that assumption that your gain is their loss. Okay, what should be the focus of the story? That is, things that are relevant and meaningful to your listeners and gives them a taste of who you are. Okay, it may demonstrate your moral and ethical character. It may demonstrate your ability to turn a profit if you're looking for investors. It may demonstrate your ability to complete a tax return successfully, to photograph successfully, to manage an event successfully. Whatever it is that's meaningful and relevant to them, you want a story that demonstrates that as opposed to just telling them that. Okay. What happens is when people get the story, they feel connected to you. She asks a interesting question here when she asks you to think of an experience with someone who ever wanted to influence you, whether it's your boss, a coworker, a salesperson, volunteer, preacher, etc. And then think somebody who succeeded and somebody who didn't. The question here is, did you feel connected to the person who succeeded? Did you feel connected because this person influenced you? Or did they influence you because you felt connected? All right, let's go on. Now, our emotional brains, in this course, you've been exposed to or will be exposed to feelings as messengers to help you become emotionally literate. Often we give facts and we give reasons to back things up, and that is okay. That's important. At the same time, we ignore the emotional brains, and it's really going to be important that we address that, and stories are a way to address that. Okay. Now, again, if you bluntly assert that I'm a interesting person, people forget that. If you demonstrate that you are by story, then you're likely to begin to again gain trust. Let's move on. This particular person here on page 10 in the story factor, she was telling the story of Robert who had to face 900 people who were skeptical, and he started by telling the story of his grandfather. And because it was touching, because it was authentic and true, then it gave him a right to tell a story, and people began to open up and believe that he was somebody that they could trust, right? But it doesn't have to come from your who you are story. It doesn't have to come from your own personal background, though it can. It also can come from fables, historical stories, stories told from a friend, current events, or parables. That is any story that reveals a part of you or who you are on a personal level. That's the who you are story. Now that leads to the why I'm here story. I'm now at the bottom of this page 11. Why I'm here. Even if your listener decides you're trustworthy, they still wonder what's in it for you to get their cooperation. And until they get a good answer, they will tend to assume that you have more to gain than they do. Okay? It's going to be important. They will make up a I smell a rat story. Okay? If you don't provide a plausible explanation of your good intentions, then they're going to say, okay? Now, often we are told to let the customer or potential customer know what's in it for them to cooperate with us. It's also important, and that suggests that we also say what's in it for us. Now, you don't have to tell what your profit is, your profit margin is, and all of that. At the same time, they need to know, they suspect that if you're approaching them, that something's in it for you. It's important that you know how to communicate what's in it for you, and at the same time, talk about or what's in it for them. And if you can share that in story form, you really are ahead of the game. Okay. So notice here, when you focus all your communication showing your listener what he might gain or she might gain, you will come across as hiding your own. All right. Now, another point, people really don't mind your healthy ambition, as long as it doesn't also have dishonest exploitation. All right, so that's Here I Am and Why I'm Here stories. These are important because as you're interviewing people, as you're talking to people about your business, you will be encountering needing to gain their trust. And part of needing to gain their trust is having them have a good sense of who you are. And at the same time, why you're here, why you want to do business with them, why you want them to do business with you. Hopefully that's helpful. Get the story factor. There's others you see here. Who Are We? The Founder story, and teaching stories, vision stories, a number of things and a number of resources. Again, the book is The Story Factor is by Annette Sims. I recommend it, and immediately I recommend you making sure that you already have or you develop your Who I Am and Why I'm Here stories. Take care. This is Wekesa Madzimoyo signing out.